to this stakeout. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Secretary General of the United Nations, and we also have with us the United Nations League of Arab States Special Envoy Kofi Annan, of course, former Secretary General of the United Nations. Secretary General has some remarks, and then Mr. Annan as well, and then the time for a few questions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with the distinguished former Secretary General and now joint Special Envoy on Syria, Honorable Kofi Annan. I only wish the circumstances were less grave. The situation in Syria has grown increasingly desperate. There is no more urgent task before the international community than to end the killing immediately. The government must cease using force against the civilians. We see a cessation of violence that sets the stage for peaceful solution, a solution that offers all the Syrian people, regardless of religion or ethnicity or political affiliation, the future of security, dignity, and freedom. This is why, together with the Secretary General Al-Arabi of the League of Arab States, and in accordance with the wishes of the General Assembly, we have appointed Mr. Annan as our joint special envoy. We had a very good round of initial discussions this afternoon. We will be working closely and with great urgency in the days ahead. Following this meeting in New York, I have asked him to travel to Cairo to meet with the Secretary General of the Arab League. From there, I will ask him to proceed to the region, including Damascus, as soon as possible. He will need the support of all those inside and outside Syria. I call on all parties to do their utmost. He will also be counting on the strong support of all member states for his diplomatic efforts, including the Security Council. He will certainly have mine. I strongly urge the Syrian authorities to extend their full cooperation. I was extremely disappointed this morning to learn that our United Nations humanitarian coordinator, Valerie Amos, has still not been permitted to visit Syria, despite the clear need and despite the repeated commitment by the government that she would be welcomed. I take this opportunity to remind the Syrian authorities of their obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law, and I call on them once again to work toward a peaceful democratic solution for the Syrian people. Now, let me now turn the floor over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary General. Good evening. I'm happy to be here once again. But let me thank the Secretary General and Secretary General Al-Arabi of the League of Arab States for the trust they have shown to me, let me put it that way. And a very difficult assignment. It's a tough challenge. And the first thing we need to do, as the Secretary General has said, is to do everything we can to stop the violence and the killing, to facilitate humanitarian access and ensure that the needy are looked after, and work with the Syrians in coming up with a peaceful solution which respects their aspirations and eventually stabilize the country. I'm not going to say much tonight, since I'm going to the region to talk to all concerned. But let me say one thing. If we are going to succeed, it is extremely important that we all accept that there should be one process of mediation, the one both the UN and the Arab League have asked me to lead. When you have more than one, and people take their own initiatives, the parties play with the mediators. If one mediator says something they don't want, they go to the other. So one single unitary process, and it is when the international community speaks with one voice that that voice is powerful. And we should pool our efforts and work together. And I'm determined to work with everybody, and I'm going to consult broadly with all actors, and I think I'm well on the way in that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And also, obviously, we'd like to welcome the Deputy Secretary General, who's also here with us. I'm giving the first question to the President of the UN Correspondents Association, Gianpaolo, please.
Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Kofi Annan, you get the joint mandate tonight to go to the region. The situation is desperate. Do you think that you're going to be there just a symbolic figure, or you have a real message for Damascus? When do you think you're going to reach Damascus?
I am in touch with leaders in the region, and of course these meetings will have to be arranged. And I am seeing also the Syrian ambassador during my visit here, and I've had the opportunity to reach out to leaders in the region, and I'm arranging the agenda. And as you can imagine, in this type of situation, every move is sensitive and highly political, even the itinerary. But we are working it out, and I would expect to get to Syria fairly soon.
Right.
What about message, Mr. Secretary General? What about message that my colleague asked you? What kind of message that you are expecting that you are going to convey to Mr. Assad that was already not heard from the Secretary General and all other leaders of the international community?
I think the message is clear, that the killing and the violence must stop. Humanitarian agencies must be given access to do their work, and it is regrettable that that doesn't seem to be happening. That is not happening. They should also find a way of resolving, getting them together to dialogue. There's a need for dialogue between all actors in Syria. And that is what we would want to try and push as soon as possible to get the dialogue going. I know there are people who have other ideas, that dialogue may not be the way to go and one should use other means. But I think for the sake of the people, for the sake of the Syrian people who are caught in the middle, a peaceful solution through dialogue and a speedy one is a way to go.
Is part of your
Frank,
message?
the next question,
is part
please.
of your
Frank,
message a
The next question
transition?
is Frank. Thank you.
Scorpion, during your career, you have met Mr. Assad before. Do you think this gives you an edge in getting access to him, considering what happened with other Secretary General Amos today in the last few days, being denied access because of your prior meetings with him?
Well, time will tell. We haven't been in touch for a couple of years, and so I will not presume anything. We will make the demarches, and time will tell it. But I would plead with him that he should engage, not only with me, but with the process that we are launching today.
Okay, one last question. Afaf. Afaf here, last question, please.
Thank you kindly.
Mr. Kofi Annan, Syrian authorities have requested a written explanation of your message describing a precise objective, if you will, of your mission. Have you had a chance to do this? Has the UN had an opportunity to do this? And if so, what will you be writing?
Secretary General.
Did you?
Can you repeat your question?
Absolutely, and whomever, by all means. Syrian authorities have asked the United Nations to provide a written letter explaining, quote, precise objectives, or the precise objective of your mission, Mr. Kofi Annan, in Syria.
In fact, before the announcement of Joint Special Envoy in London, I have asked my chef de cabinet, Mr. Nambia, to inform the Syrian government officially about our intended announcement of a Joint Special Envoy. That he did to Ambassador Jafari here in the mission. And my official letter is on its way to President Assad.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
تقرير خاص لبوابة الوفد الإلكترونية من الأمم المتحدة من السيد موسى وأحمد فتحي.